baby on hand, nearly about 6 months old. And so this is the grand finale of the academic career. So all we have our students here with us, both the present and the faculty members. So I welcome you. And dear students, as you know, Madam is a very senior faculty member. She has been the head of the philosophy department in Patna, and again the pro-vice chancellor of Mandal University, and she is presently an active NAC member, and she could also be on one of the committees visiting the universities wherever this NAC visit is pending. And she has also visited Mauritius on an faculty exchange program, and she has completed several projects that were like a lot of nearly 100 to 200 lectures at national and international forums, and guided very many MPhil and PhD scholars, and she has also been on the IPC and life member of many philosophical associations. And so now we have her here to conduct this Viva for us, and we are very happy to have her with us. Thank you, Amma.
Welcome, very good morning, everybody. And I would request Dr. Shanta Kumariji to initiate the process.
Abba, you take over and ask Shyamala to make a presentation.
Okay, okay.
Shyamala.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Shyamala, begin the presentation, please.
Okay. Good morning, ma'am. Recording faculties and these members also. And thank you everyone.
No, it is not audible to me clearly.
Talk loudly.
Semantic externalism of HILARY PUTNAM. Problem of the studies. The research investigates the meaning and the connotation of the word in HILARY PUTNAM's writings and intends to clarify the meaning of many. Statement of the problems. Who or what determines the meaning of the terms used language? Methodology. The method adopted in the present work is partly historical, descriptive, critical, and analytical. Sources. Writing of HILARY PUTNAM and their eminent social philosophers are the primary sources. The secondary sources are the works by other authors on HILARY PUTNAM's thought, include textbooks, journals, and other electrical sources. Chapter layout. Introduction, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3 also conclusion. Chapter 1, Putnam's philosophical system, basic presupposition. And next 1.1, philosophy and science. 1.2, ethics. 1.3, philosophy of language. 1.4, philosophy of mind. And chapter A, Early Putnam on philosophy of mind. B, later Putnam on philosophy of mind. Chapter 2, Putnam's critics of materialistic theory of mind. Second, materialism. 2.2, kinds of materialism. A, classical materialism. B, contemporary materialism. 2.3, Putnam's critic of materialism. Critic on verification notion of mind. Critic on behaviorism. Critic on mind-body identity thesis. Chapter 3, functionalist theory of mind. Early Putnam's functionalism, kinds of functionalism, analytic functionalism, homonuclear functionalism, mechanistic functionalism, patient state functionalism, psychofunctionalism. Early Putnam's on functionalism. Early Putnam's on multiple reliability thesis, mirroring the mind-body analogy in minds and machines. Early Putnam of Turing machines, revised in the total Turing machine. emergence of computational functionalism, functionalism and artificial intelligence, functionalism and non-reductionism. Introduction. Hilary Putnam, July 31st, 1926, March 13, 2016. A famous American antique philosopher known for his contribution to the philosophy of mind, philosophy of language, philosophy of mathematics, and philosophy of science. It is very difficult to write a specific philosophical thesis in Hilary Putnam's work. He changed his philosophical position based on the philosophical problem. He is self-critic while examining a specific philosophical position. Putnam's views philosophical tasks are never really completed. And second, there are no lost words in philosophy. He allows philosophy always to be in new perspective, new awareness, bring out empirical possibilities and new concepts. He is aware of various cognitive virtues and ideas are exemplifying the pragmatic concepts of philosophy. Chapter 1. Putnam's philosophical system, basic presupposition. Chapter 1 discusses Putnam's philosophical presupposition according to the theory of meaning, scientific facts, normative values, and the humanistic thought. In first section discusses Putnam's contribution to the philosophy of science. Here the movement from reductive scientific naturalism to liberal naturalism is examined. The second section examines his contribution to ethics. In this context and effects is made to realize the continuing desire to be anti-essentialist about a number of key philosophical ideas and realistic about rational normative philosophy. The next session elaborates Putnam's philosophy of language and his claims that meaning just ain't in the head. In Putnam's causal theory of reference, he uses his famous linear thought experiments to reveal that the meaning of terms is determined by factors outside the mind. The last session explores the subject matters of Putnam's philosophy of mind. Chapter 2. Putnam's critique of materialistic theory of mind. Chapter 2 discusses Putnam's critique of materialistic theory of mind. Mind is a kind of matter which is subject to the materialistic law of the universe. Hence, there is nothing other than material behavior in this world. Here we focus primarily on the different materialistic theory of mind developed by different materialistic philosophers of mind, and Putnam's critique of these theories and are discussed in this chapter. The first session of this chapter discusses the question of the mind as seen in materialism. The second session divides materialism into two kinds, classical materialism and contemporary materialism. Classical materialism is further divided into two kinds, Hobbes materialism and Marxian materialism. Similarly, contemporary materialism is divided into many kinds, mind-body identity thesis, behaviorism, epiphenomenalism, and functionalism. The third session examines the difficulties of the materialistic theory of mind as pointed out by Putnam. But the arguments reveal that according to any materialism, consciousness, belief, desire, etc. are nothing but physical phenomena. In any materialistic form, the mind can be verified, explained. There are many critics who question the very idea of a materialistic theory of mind. The first sub examines Putnam's critique of verification notion of mind. The subsection focuses on Putnam's critique of Putnam's critique of behaviorism, and the last subsection examines the importance of Putnam's critiques of materialism. Putnam's critique of mind-body identity thesis. Chapter 3, Functionalist theory of mind, early Putnam. Chapter 3, Functionalist theory of mind, early Putnam. In Chapter 3, an attempt is made to understand Putnam's views on functionalism. In the first session of this chapter, the functionalist theory of mind is discussed. In functionalism, mental phenomena are explained by the external input and the perceivable output. Hence, there are no particular mental states about the specified mental states. They are causally interrelated and inputs and outputs of the system they belong to. There are antecedental connections between consciousness and kinds of functionalism, striving to identify the notion of mind from different perspectives. There are many kinds of functionalism: homonuclear functionalism, mechanistic functionalism, machine state functionalism, and psychofunctionalism. In the third section, HILARY Putnam's on functionalism was discussed. And conclusion. The conclusion of this thesis attempts a critical study of Putnam's philosophy of mind. Chapter 1, Putnam's philosophical basic presupposition. Putnam's philosophy is complex due to his constant evaluation of thought and self-critical stance across diverse fields like science, ethics, language, and mind. He champions intellectual virtues such as openness, self-reflection, and inclusivity, favoring a democratic, experimental approach to philosophy. Unlike Wine's naturalism, Putnam emphasizes conceptual inquiry and believes philosophy is an ongoing, never finished pursuit. His famous idea, like that Winner thought experiment, reflect a deep commitment to exploring meaning, realism, and anti-essentialism in philosophy of science. Putnam developed multi-forms of realism, including scientific, internal, metaphysical, and pragmatic realism, with a shift from metaphysical realism to internal realism supporting conceptual relativity. He opposed scientism and reductionism, arguing that not all understanding must come from science. Instead, he supported liberal naturalism, which allows space for moral, religious, and non-scientific knowledge. Putnam values metaphysical inquiry when grounded in scientific reflection, but reject meaningless metaphysical speculation and the rich ontologies of metaphysical realism. He defended mathematical realism through the indispensability argument, insisting that mathematical entities are essential to scientific theories and thus deserve ontological commitment. Chapter 1, Putnam's philosophical basic presupposition, ethics. Ethics without ontology. Putnam's reject traditional metaphysical foundation in ethics, replacing ethical ontology with pragmatic pluralism, emphasizing real life. Situated ethical discourse over abstract theories. Fact value unity. He denies the strict separation between facts and values, arguing that value judgments are essential to both ethical and scientific reasoning, and that factual knowledge presupposes moral evaluations. Practical situated ethics. Influenced by Dewey, Putnam promotes a pragmatic, practice-based ethics concerned with concrete, real-world problems, example, abortion, rather than abstract moral principles. Critique of scientism and positivism. He critiques scientism and logical positivism for dismissing values as subjective or meaningless, asserting instead that ethical values can be rational, objective, and central to knowledge. Philosophy of language. Meaning is not in the head. Putnam argues against traditional internalist theories of meaning, claiming that meanings just are not in the head. Instead, meanings are shaped by external, environmental, and social factors. Semantic externalism and Winner. His Winner thought experiment demonstrates that two people can be in the same psychological state, it refers to different subjects, showing that meaning depends on external reality, not just mental content. Critique of traditional thesis. Traditional views rely on methodological solipsism and assume meaning is tied to mental states. Putnam rejects this, introducing the distinction between narrow content, internal, and wide content, external. Causal theory of reference and the conceptual He supports a causal interaction model of reference and advocates conceptual creativity, arguing that language and truth are pluralistic and cannot be reduced to rich metaphysical or internalist account. Philosophy of mind, evolving views on mind. Evolving views, Putnam did not commit to a single theory of mind, often revising his position to better align with broader philosophical insights and developments. Early advocacy of functionalism. Initially, he supports functionalism as an alternative to behaviorism and the identical theory, proposing that mental states are defined by their functional rules, not by physical or behavior properties. Critique of earlier theories. He identified serious philosophical issues in both behaviorism and identity theory, arguing they fail to fully explain mental phenomena. Later revisions and realism. Later in his career, Putnam moved away from strict functionalism, influenced by his departure from scientific realism, and emphasized the importance of preserving the mind's role within the physical world. Early Putnam's on philosophy of mind. Functionalism and Turing machine analogy. Early Putnam advocates functionalism where mental states are defined by their causal rules, inputs, internal states, outputs, not by physical matter. Drawing on Turing machines theory, he argued that minds are functionally organized systems, and any system, biological or artificial, with the same functional structure to have mental states. Multiple realizability. Putnam emphasized that mental states can be realized in multiple physical forms. Example, pain in humans, invertebrates, or machines. Changing identity theory. This led to the idea that mental properties are abstract functional rules rather than specific philosophical physical states. Critique of mind-body identity theory. He rejects identity theory, arguing that mental and physical states lack clear one-to-one correspondence. There is no non-circular objective way to identify mental events with specific brain states, making identity claim philosophically and linguistically problematic. Rejection of behaviorism. Putnam strongly criticized logical behaviorism, using examples like the Squadron and the X world to show that behavior does not capture internal experience. He argued that mental state involves more than observable behavior. They depends on internal functional organisms, supporting functionalism over behaviorism. Later Putnam's of the philosophy of mind. Critique of functionalism and AI civilization. Later Putnam rejected his earlier functionalist view, arguing that simulating human intelligence through Turing machines or AI is not the same as replicating it. Functionalism fails because it ignores semantic externalism. Meanings are shaped by environment, not just internal states, making the mind irreducible to computational process. Twin-head and semantic externalism. Putnam's twin-head thought experiment demonstrates that two beings with identical internal states can have different mental contents based on their environment. This shows that mental content does not supervene or functional states, undermining functionalism and supporting psychological externalism. Limits of computational and reductionist models. Putnam argues that semantic and propositional attitudes like beliefs are not reducible to computational or physical states. Mind cannot be fully captured by brain science or functionalist models. Consciousness and intentionality resist scientific reduction and require a non-materialistic explanation. Mind, meaning and humanism. He concluded that mind is not in the head, but is rooted in our interactions with the world, guided by norms and meanings that transcend physical explanation. Putnam's philosophy evolved towards a pragmatic humanism, emphasizing the normative, irreducible, and experimental aspects of mental life beyond what science alone can explain. Chapter 2. Putnam's critique of materialistic theory of mind. Philosophical problems pertaining to the materialistic theory of mind. Mind can be known only through physical behavior of the brain. Is made up of distinct states of the events that are existing in the brain. Monistic explanation of the mind is presented in materialistic theory of mind, which has material entities. According to any materialism, consciousness, beliefs, desires, etc. are nothing but physical phenomena. In any materialistic form, the mind can be verifiable, explainable. However, there are many critics who are against the very idea of materialistic theory of mind. Materialism, primacy of matter. Materialism asserts that everything in the universe can be explained in terms of matter, giving primary status to matter and secondary status to the mind. Modern materialistic thinkers, philosophers like U.B. Pace, J.J. Smart, and D.M. Armstrong, redefine materialism to a scientific perspective, emphasizing that the human beings are truly physical bodies. Mind as material. Materialistic argue that the mind, consciousness, and the spirit are not separate entities but are internally dependent on physical process, especially the brain. Overview of contemporary materialism seeks to explain mental phenomena through scientific and physical process. Primary focus on the brain and behavior, reject dualism, and argues for a monistic matter-based reality. Physicalism asserts that mental states, physical brain states, monism includes subtypes like physicalism, token physicalism, detective and non-detective physicalism. Key philosophy theories is Smart, D.M. Armstrong, T.D. Buchanan. Mind-body identity theory claims mental states are identical to physical brain process, not just correlated. Notable proponents, U.B. Pace, Armstrong, Smart, distinguishes between type-to-type and token-to-token identity theories. Epiphenomenalism, mental events are byproducts of physical process but have no causal power. Mind is like smoke from fire, proceeds by the brain but cannot affect it. Criticized for denying mental causation despite apparent evidence. Reject of Cartesian dualism. All three theories, physicalism, identity theory, epiphenomenalism, challenge Descartes' views of mind and body as distinct substance, emphasizing that mental life is rooted in the brain, supported by empirical neuroscience and philosophy of mind. Putnam's critique of materialism. Putnam's critique of materialist notion of mind. Putnam's critique on behaviorism. The importance of Putnam's critique on mind-body identity thesis. Putnam is strongly against the very idea of the dominance of scientism, and this view states that all kinds of knowledge are at the end of the inquiry reducible to that of the natural science. Putnam opposed this idea and he developed his criticism of logical positivism, according to which the verification is the basis of any kinds of knowledge, and at the same time the mind can be scientifically verified. Putnam's interpretation of the mind is different, and he was against the materialistic theory of mind. Putnam's critique of materialism, although Putnam does not have a specific criticism of materialism in general, he has specifically been critical of the verificationist philosophy of mind, behaviorism, and mind-body identity Verification is the hallmark of any kinds of knowledge. In verification, meaning of any statements, words which are not verified are meaningless. Materialistic theory of mind presupposed by Putnam. Putnam critique of materialism. Rejection of verification is notion of mind. Putnam critiques logical positivism and claims that mental state must be verifiable to the meaningful. Unlike positivists, pragmatics like Pure and Putnam emphasize practical and conceptual effects over empirical verification. Verificationism leads to reductive, incomplete views of the mind. Criticism of logical behaviorism. Behaviorism reduces mental states to observable behaviorism. Putnam argues this is circular and fails to account for internal experiments. His super Spartan and X-World thought experiments showed that behavior and mental states are not necessarily linked. Mind-body identity theory critical. Materialistic identify mental states with brain states. Putnam finds this view overly reductionist and incapable of capturing subjective experience, like pain. He emphasized the causal role of mental states over mere identification with neural activity. The problem of meaning. Positivists overburden the concepts of meaning with verification demands. Putnam shows that meaningfulness involves conception and practical abilities, not just observable data. Meaning and truth value cannot be equated with verifiability. Argument against reductionism. Materialistic theory often attempts to reduce complex phenomena like consciousness to physical or behavioral terms. Putnam argues this oversimplifies reality and fails to accommodate the richness of human mental life. Causal explanation, not logical constructions, better capture the nature of mental state. Putnam critics of the mind-body identity thesis. Rejection of reductive identity. Putnam argues that the identity theory fails to explain how material brain process can causes or be identical with material conscious experience. He criticized the theory's attempts to reduce mental states to physical chemical states. Multiple realizability argument. Mental states like pain can be realized in different physical systems. Example, humans, octopuses, machines. Thus, mental states cannot be identical to specific brain states, challenging the universality of identity plans. Functionalism as an alternative. Putnam proposes that mental states are functional states of the entire organism, not brain state. This means what matters is what the state does, not what it is made of. Critique of philosophical and scientific assumptions. He challenges the assumptions behind analytic philosophy and logical positivism, especially the belief that every meaningful identity claims must be deductive and scientific verifiable. Opposition to scientism and materialism. Putnam opposes the idea that all mental phenomena can be fully explained by natural sciences scientism. He defends a non-reductionist, more pluralistic understanding of mind beyond materialistic theories. Chapter 3, Functionalist Theory of Mind, Early Putnam. Functionalism. Mental states as functional states. According to Putnam, mental states are defined by the functional rules, the causal relation to inputs, stimuli, outputs, behavior, and other mental states, not by the physical composition. Mind as software, brain as hardware. Putnam draws an analogy between the mind and software running on the brain as hardware. Just like software can run on different physical machines, mental states can be realized in different physical systems, humans, animals, machines. Rejection of identity theory and dualism. Functionalism opposes both materialistic identity theory, which idea in functionalism is that the same mental state, example pain, can be realized in multiple different physical forms, human brains, octopus, nervous systems, or even computers if the functional organization is the same. Roots in AI and computational models. Putnam's functionalism was inspired by developments in computer science and artificial intelligence. Mental activities is viewed as computational processing where understanding mental states involves understanding system behavior across various conditions. Kinds of functionalism in early Putnam's philosophy of mind. Analytic functionalism focuses on defining mental states through the causal roles derived from folk psychology. It includes input, output, and the inter-role conditions to explain how mental states interact with the stimuli, behavior, and other mental states. Homonuclear functionalism, proposed by Denon and Lacan. This approach breaks down mental processes into subsystems, like a team of living agents, and explain consciousness through the multiple graph model and subpersonal neurological states. Mechanistic functionalism emphasizes understanding the mind through mechanical systems and the biological mechanism. It treats mental concepts in terms or structured activities, temporal, spatial relationship, and the components interactions similar to engineering models. Machine state functionalism development by Putnam's. It links the mind to a Turing machine where mental states are software-like configurations realized across various physical substrates. It supports the idea of multiple realisticity. Psychofunctionalism, advocated by Fodor. This approach uses scientific psychology to define mental states by their causal role in cognitive system. It critiques behaviorism and identity theory, emphasizing internal organization and belief-precise systems. Early Putnam's on functionalism, 5 major points. Functionalism as a theory of mind. Mental states are defined by their functional role, their relations to sensory inputs, other mental states, and behavior outputs rather than by their physical network. Mind is independent of brain substance. Mental states depends on functional organization, not material composition. Early Putnam's on multiple realizability thesis. 5 major points. Definition of multiple realizability. Mental state, example pain, can be realized by different physical systems, humans, machines, animals, or aliens, regardless of their material composition. The same physical state can realize different mental states in different circumstances. Rejection of type identity theory. Putnam challenges the view that each mental state's components corresponds to one specific physical brain state. Different creatures with varied neural structures can experience the same mental state, undermining the mind-body identity theory. Functional isomorphism. Two systems are functionally isomorphic if there is a correspondence between the states preserving functional relation. Functional equivalence, not physical similarity, determines mental state identity. Higher level functional description. Mental states are best understood by their causal roles and functional organization, abstracted from physical constitution. Functionalism allows for non-physical or artificial realizations of mental states. Philosophical implications and examples. Mental states like pain may manifest differently. Example, mad pain versus malignant pain. Showing variability in causal roles and physical forms. This supports the idea that mental phenomena depends on function, not specific physical substrates. Mirroring the mind-body analogy in minds and machines, early Putnam. problem and machine analogy. Putnam compares mind to machines, especially during machines, to explore consciousness and mental state. Questions like, can a robot be conscious? Mirror classical mind-body issues, offering new perspectives on old philosophical problems. Privacy and self-knowledge in minds and machines. The pursuits of knowing one's own mental states, example pain versus knowing others' state parallels. How can machine know its own states versus others? Machines with sensory organs can scan themselves and others, creating an analogy for self-awareness and perception. Functionalism and mental states are functional roles. Mental states, pain, belief, desires are defined by their functional causal roles, not by their physical makeup, just like states of machines depend on their functional organization, not hardware specifics. Machine with preference and utility functions. Machines can be assigned preference or utility functions analogous to human attitudes and decision making. Rational preference functions in machines can mimic human-like behaviors and choices. Brain as digital computers, mind as software. Putnam's functionalism used the mind as a digital computer and psychology as its software. Functional organism. This analogy supports understanding mental phenomena through computational and functional terms rather than purely physical or heuristic concepts. Early Putnam's on Turing machine. Turing machine functionalism, hardware versus software. The Turing machine's process inputs were executing programmed instructions, changing internal states, and producing outputs. Hardware represents the physical system, while software is the set of instructions executed, highlighting how the same functions can be realized in different physical forms. Turing test and multiple realizability. The Turing test exemplifies how machines with different physical makeups can produce indistinguishable outputs, supporting Putnam's ideas of multiple realizability in machine functionalism. This underscores the principle that mental functions software can be realized by various hardware configurations, mirroring functionalism in physical of mind. Revising the total Turing machine. Revising the limitations game Turing test. Defines intellectual behavior, as the ability to mimic human responses well known to put on interrogator through a typed conversation with a physical us. The classic setup involves an interrogator distinguished between human and machine by asking questions. Machine intelligent and human-like performance. Turing predicated that within 50 years, computers would perform cognitive tasks so well that interrogators would only have a 70% success rate in identifying the machine after 5 minutes. Machines can replicate human behavior conveniently. Supports the claim that machines can think like humans, mind as a computational system. Turing test implies the mind function like a machine capable of performing specific computational operations. Mental states are seen as computational states realizable in various physical systems, making mind-machine distinction unnecessary. Four functional requirements for passing the test: natural language processing, memory storage, automated reasoning, and adaptive learning are essential capabilities for machines to stimulate human cognition successfully. These functions mirror the human mental process. Putnam's alignment with Turing machine's functionalism. Putnam emphasized that both human and machines' mental states can be described as logical or mental states without needing to reference to physical matter. Psychological state corresponds to complex distinctions of machine state, reinforcing the functionalist view of mind-machine analogy. Emergence of computational functionalism. Mind as a computational organism of the brain. Mental state, computational state, Putnam during mental state characterized functionally like states of probabilistic automata, machine analogy for mental process. Computational functionalism corrects limitations of classical materialism and behaviorism by emphasizing functional organism. Functionalism and artificial intelligence. AI models mind as a computational process, machine as functionally isomorphic to human mental states. Mental states and behaviors are explained by internal beliefs and functional state. Simulation of intelligence through input-output process. Functionalism grounds AI's conceptualization, but Putnam stresses AI not equal mind computational theory but specific programming for process. Functionalism and non-reductionism. Mental states defined relationally via other mental states, rejecting behavioristic and identity reductionism. Multiple realizability. Same mental state can arise from different physical states. Psychology autonomous from neurophysiology. Functionalism isomorphism allows desired physical realization of mental states, supporting anti-reductionist and pluralistic views of mind. According to Putnam, mental states are explained by other mental states without reducing mental life relations. The characterization of mental states must involve other mental states. Functionalist theory of mind is focused. In functionalism, mental phenomena are explained by the external input and the perceiving output. Therefore, mental states are explained by the antecedental relations. Therefore, different kinds of functionalism: homogeneous functionalism, mechanistic functionalism, machine state functionalism, and psychofunctionalism. Early Putnam's philosophy of mind became so powerful not only because it provides an attractive theory of the mental state, but also its impact is due to its linkage to computational functionalism. Putnam explained the nature of mental state concerning the notion of probabilistic automation, where he has discussed the use of Turing machine as a model for the organism, where in the use of notions such as problematic automations and Turing machine were taken to understand the nature of mental state, arguing that pain is functional state of the whole organism. We have seen that being in pain is a functional state rather than brain state or behavior disposition. If this is true, then it follows that Putnam's proposed hypothesis, which provides some considerations. First consideration may be recognition. Recognition of philosophical states with functional states, which suggests that law of psychological can be taken from functional state. Example, being in pain in such and such a functional state. Secondly, the functional state is not only correlated with pain but also explain the pain behavior of the organisms. Conclusion. Putnam explained his model of functionalism with objections to the very idea of reduction of mental to physical. This model of functionalism, as explained above, is a kind of Turing machine. The main idea is that mental states have functional goals within a system, where a system is Turing machine with possibility transfer between various states. uniting between minds and machines are described in terms of logical and mental states by laws of reasoning. Putnam explained this analogy help us avoid the mistakes and at the same time discussing the nature of mental states and mind-body problems in the context of the machine analogy. Early Putnam's thesis is not only targeted to disagree with the classical materialism, but also bring a new theory of mental states, which he conveyed as the view that a mental state like the pain is a functional state of a whole organism. The main aim of Putnam's functionalism is to develop machine artificial intelligence or computational functionalism because the view has practical implications gain immediate success thereby. Functionalism debatedly does better as a theory than its rival views, that is, a classical materialism. These are the central reasons of early Putnam functionalism, which became so eye-catching. Computational functionalism associated with the new science of the mind in contemporary issues in the philosophy of mind, that is, cognitive science and other allied subjects. This is the other main reason. What is imperative to mention here is that later Putnam changed its mind and became a strong critic of his own views on functionalism, and at the same time he established different theories of mind. Putnam's dynamic and humanistic philosophy of mind. His philosophy embraces norms governing rationality and is open to evolving views. Opposes reductionist scientism and materialism, advocating a pragmatic, pluralistic, and materialistic approach to mind. Philosophy is there is the right tool that transcends cultures, emphasizing conceptual inquiry and incomplete, ongoing nature of philosophical task. Philosophical contribution to language, ethics, and minds. Advocates semantic externalism, meaning depends on external factors, not just internal mental states. Inlet thought experiment. Challenges ontological assumptions in ethics, proposing pragmatic pluralism and rejecting strict fact value separations. Defends internal realism, highlighting mind's mysterious yet autonomous nature beyond full scientific reduction. Putnam's humanistic and evolving philosophy embraces an open, self-critical approach to philosophy that opposes reductionism. Advocate for a pragmatic, pluralistic, and mechanistic view of mind grounded in conceptual inquiry and cultural sensibility. Key contribution to mind, language, and ethics. Advanced semantic externalism, example given, internal realism and pragmatic pluralism, rejecting fact values and emphasizing the meaning. Ethics and mental states are shaped by interaction with the world and cannot be fully reduced to scientific terms. Foundation and varieties of functionalism. Early Putnam's equated mental states with functional, computational roles like a Turing machine, emphasizing causal relation over physical substance through 5 key forms of functionalism, linking mind to AI and cognitive science. Critique on evaluation of functionalism. While functionalism with a dualism and materialism, Putnam later critique is for reductionism, arguing that the human thought and meaning extend beyond completion and require engagement with the external world. World philosophical contributions and functionalism. Putnam's influential work spanned mind, language, ethics, and metaphysics. He introduced functionalism in philosophy of mind, later shifting towards semantic externalism, emphasizing the mind connection to language of meaning the external world. Theory of meaning. Theory of meaning is semantic externalism. The meaning just beyond the external world factors.
Externalism.
Okay.
Functionalism. Hilary Putnam's writer Hilary Putnam's functionalism is the mental states only accepted. Mental states only accepted of innate factors. Kinds of functionalism. Huh?
We go into the kinds of paper lens எழுதுனா வேலை கையில
பேசுறதுக்கு கேட்கணும் மேடம் பேசுறது
10 kinds of functionalism.
two kinds of functionalism, ma'am. Materialistic functionalism, classical materialism. First, Hobbes materialism and Marxism materialism. And voice.
Just repeat your question, Abba. Repeat your question. Contribution of Putnam. What are his views? Putnam's views on artificial intelligence.
Putnam's views of artificial intelligence accepts only for first accept machine state, ma'am. First accept machine state and example of inputs and outputs.
Turing machine.
Turing machine, the example of Turing machine operating the computers, including system. Artificial intelligence. Turing machine.
What is a Turing machine? Explain that.
Turing machine in Hilary Putnam take example of machine in computational functionalism, inputs of outputs and hardware and software functionalism. He rejects the functionalism of mental states.
Machine and Turing machine. Machine and Turing machine. Turing machine is a machine machine.
1 second. Nation state function.
Turing machine என்ன சொல்லுங்க. Keep it on your table and draw. Just 1 minute after.
Ma'am, ready?
Just a second. என்னமா பண்ணிட்டு இருக்க?
Turing
Just
machine.
one minute.
Ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am. 1 minute, ma'am. Turing machine process input by existing program instructions. Program instructions changing internal state, ma'am. Changing internal states and program output. Hardware represent physical system. Physical system is software is the set of instructions. Software and hardware. Highlighting the same function can be written different physical forms.
What is a Turing machine? What is it used for? What is it for?
Early Putnam observes on internal factors, ma'am, first position, and change the external position, ma'am. External position.
What is
Meaning.
early Putnam's views?
Early Putnam's views on only of innate factors, ma'am. Mind only the innate factors position, ma'am. Early Putnam says, ma'am. And other one is external, semantic externalism change the position.
Wow, why did he change his stand? Why did he change his stand?
He only for external, meaning only for inside only accepted, not accepted, and otherwise the external also environmental and metaphysical functionalism also.
Repeat your question. Meaning according to Hilary.
Meaning just change in the Hilary Putnam says meaning just change in the heading, not in the Putnam says meaning just change in the head. The semantic explanation.
அங்கே எடுத்துட்டு வர
Ma'am?
20 minutes.
சரி மேம்.
Meaning, how do you get meaning according to Putnam?
Meaning this semantic externalism theory of meaning.
What is semantic externalism?
Semantic externalism is the theory of meaning. It is outside the factor of the meaning. Word map.
So, how do you fix it there? How do you get the meaning? How do you understand meaning?
Putnam says
Winner concept.
Winner concept. Same meaning. Words are same, but meanings are different in winner aspects. First is winner. Example. First winner is called liquid, and another one called water. Liquid called XYZ, and another one is H2O. H2O exam. Because the physical states are same, but meaning are different.
Knowledge according to Putnam. What is knowledge?
What constitutes knowledge?
What is knowledge according to Putnam?
Knowledge gains only for intellect, not for other metaphysical or metaphysical, pragmatical, and perspective. Theory of descriptive.
Pragmatic ethics of Putnam.
Pragmatic ethics in
Yes, pragmatic ethics, everything.
pragmatic ethics like as subject. This is the mental states of pragmatic ethics without the desires, beliefs, emotions, and happiness. Without ethics.
What do you conclude by your thesis? What are your views about Hilary Putnam's philosophy?
Hilary Putnam says theory of knowledge of the inner structure of consciousness. Mental life is autonomous in the sense of our knowledge of inner structure of consciousness. This and for this mind has its own and autonomous existence. Mind is and own is autonomous existence in this physical world. This is because separate existence, mental life is materialistic, physicalist, functionalist, theorist, physicalist, functionalist, fail to understanding the mental life of human life.
Be more clear about what you have said so far.
Meaning importance of theory of knowledge. Not only inner structure, not only for inner ideas of meanings, then all other than metaphysical factors also meaning is there, and autonomous existence of mind only physical mind has its own autonomous existence in this physical world. This is because of separate existence of mental life. It is separate. This is because
Yeah, read last. Audience. ಈ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಫೋನಿನ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಫುಡ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ whatever you know, you will not be able to answer. Don't get nervous. Whatever you have understood, you have to explain it. Explain it in Tamil if you can. Don't get nervous.
Question. Already. Anamika. Yes.
I know I saw Anamika then as economica. Anamika, economica. Anasika.
Guys, question, guys. Those who are attending a class, they can rise.
So your topic deals with semantic externalism. Semantic is a theory which generally deals with the meaning of a particular word. A meaning is something concerned with the internal structure of the mind, and the mind contributes and then attributes for the particular sound. And externalism speaks about the other elements which either control or modify this meaning. Okay, so that's about thing as far as the topic is concerned. So, in your statement that Hilary Putnam was of the opinion that mind or mental states can be explained by the physical state, or the mind is nothing but the product of a certain external elements. If so, the mind itself looks like, as far as he is concerned, a material piece. Okay. In fact, mind is totally different from the brain. The brain is only organ, this one. So, the mind thinks and so on. What is the value or the state of the thought? Is it also physical? If it is physical, it will disappear immediately, but your thought remains, my thought remains, and we are able to remember afterwards also. So, how does he justify? Hilary Putnam justifies a stand that mind is the product of physical elements, and therefore the mental states are nothing but the byproduct of the external elements. Does he justify that? Because there comes the issue of this Turing mind or whatever. Machine. What is that? Is it an example or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Turing machine and Viva, they are two examples. Turing machine is used in mathematics. For what?
I'm sorry.
How does he compare that Turing machine and Viva examples? Explain that.
Example for Turing machine for the first will come to Turing machine process inputs program for the first program and other than the program machines, and the machines is the inputs and output for the first inputs and outputs, hardware and software. It's connected the machines for it.
So, as an external examiner was asking, is that something similar to what we call today the artificial intelligence?
First, Putnam accepts artificial intelligence, believes in artificial intelligence. Then, other than the meaning, it's only for not innate states. Then, other than also external factors, and other than environmental factors and social factors.
So, does he want to say a particular word having a meaning here can change, and the same word is used in a different place by a different person? And language will be difficult to speak.
Language.
Why does he change his stand, philosophical stand of it? Why does he change? Why does he change the standpoint of the
Meaning only for only in innate minds only is not accepted. And first Putnam accept only for mind states, na? And that mind states only the meaning is it's for accepted. Other also external semantic external meaning also accepted. That's why he changes their position.
according to the philosophical thought? You can't have one solution.
Okay, the audio was not there, so I missed the answer. Still, I recommend her for PhD and Shanta Kumari. Hello.
I can hear you. Tell me.
So I am done on my part.
Yeah, well, I can hear you. Tell me about.
My part, and now it is come to the new people. I recommend her for PhD, and somehow wants to say I extend my blessings to her.
Very nervous. Whatever she knew and whatever she was answering with me, she is not even able to explain that here. Her nervousness and his disruption with
Yes. It might be our first online presentation also. So on the whole, the thesis was of high quality, and I recommend her for PhD, and I wish you people to extend your blessings also to her.
okay.
Thank you,
Abba.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Only thing she should have been more bold. She is on the verge of tears. She has not broken down. I can make it out.
I understand. I extend my wishes to her to carry on the research and this type of high quality work and unused one. I think not many ones have been done in this area, so it is quite good. And she has contributed the people in that area of philosophy, I think so. And while she wishes to publish it, I think it will be a valuable contribution to philosophy. So my good wishes to you all, and thank you, Shanta, and all those present there. I extend my thanks to you also for being here, there in the department, and that's all. So, should I say?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Abba. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Self my vote of thanks.
So much I told you. I gave you,
Just my other public.
you just can't.
Thanks,
Ma'am,
Wait
thank you, ma'am.
wait, I left it. 1 minute. Okay, that's Shyamala. Congratulations.